on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
AYODEJI, AJISOPE,
and
ADEDAMOLA LAFFY
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops. Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest trends in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We're happy to announce.
All right, it's another beautiful Tuesday morning in the big and beautiful city of Ibadan. My name is ADEDAMOLA LAFFY, and we're set to take you through the pages of the newspapers this morning on From the Dailies on your dependable dial, your remedy radio station, Solutions 93.9 FM. And of course, I have Comrade AYODEJI AJISOPE joining me virtually this morning. A beautiful morning to you, Comrade AYODEJI AJISOPE.
Yes, a good morning to you, my dear comrade brother.
Okay, I hope you can hear me loud and clear, comrade.
Well, it could be a bit better.
Okay, our engineers are working on it. I think it's getting better now. All right, because of our time is fast spent, let's go straight to the business of the day. And there is an interesting story on the front pages of most papers this morning, talking about the National Bureau of Statistics coming up with another data which some Nigerians have been generating. That means some controversies among Nigerians to talking about the authenticity or how realistic at this data. Okay, now on the front page of which paper now? Vanguard now. GDP growth figures. Comrade, there is background noise there. I hope you can hear me. Okay, I think it's
I
better.
can hear you loud and clear.
All right, now GDP growth figures. More work needs to be done, and the riders under that. We have this one saying, okay, welcomes a third quarter growth figure. Services sector drives Nigeria's GDP up 3.46%. Let me just break it down. I think the National Bureau of Statistics has come up to say that unemployment rate has dropped to 4.3% in the second quarter of 2024, and also that the GDP grows has grown by 3.46% in the third quarter of 2024. But the Nigerian Labour Congress has come up to counter this claim, saying that the statistics being brought up by the National Bureau of Statistics are not genuine and not realistic. What do you make out of this, saying that the unemployment rate has dropped by 4.3%?
Well, you will recall that maybe about a year or so, a year and a half ago or so, the Bureau of Statistics reviewed its, the parameters by which it measures unemployment, unemployment. And of course, you will recall that people disagreed with that.
Yes.
And they insisted that that is the parameters that the ILO uses. You understand? And one of the significant hallmarks of the new set of parameters is that if you are employed for 1 day out of 7, if I recollect properly,
Yes.
that means you are employed. I do not know how working 1 day out of 7 makes you employed. Or will supply you enough resources to sustain yourself, not to talk of family and dependent. So that has been the basis of the new unemployment statistics being doled out by MBS. You will recall we were around 30-something, 33 and growing. And then suddenly they said we are now around 6 or so, 7% of unemployment. I do not know what MBS is doing, but you see, statistics and reality, there must be a nexus. You understand?
That is it.
There must be a convergence. There must be a meeting point. Is there and even amongst those who are employed, you recall that we also talk about underemployment amongst even the employed. You understand? By their qualification, by their capacity, and their knowledge, they take jobs that are, are not suited for their qualification and knowledge.
Comrade, exactly what you just mentioned now. The Guardian newspaper has a way of breaking down issues. And on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, I think Guardian newspaper talked about that particular issue, saying that more Nigerians are taking informal jobs. I mean, jobs that that don't match what their academic qualification
and even knowledge.
I mean, when you see a graduate taking up jobs that are way below the qualification, that is what the Guardian is saying that.
So that is underemployment. I mean, underutilization of knowledge and skills available and capacity, you understand? Now, and yet MBS is telling us that unemployment is 4% or so now. Those are challenging issues.
Okay.
People have always queried the statistics. You recall that one particular head of MBS left, maybe 2022 or so, and the man came out to say, yes, he was under intense pressure, you understand, to doctor figures and to make it look. Yes, the man said so when he left office. Wow. We do not know what has changed since the man left office. You understand? If figures lie, reality does not lie.
At all.
You understand? Reality won't lie. So the growth in the economy Yes, in GDP rather. And when the figures were being reviewed, I said, okay, where are the factors driving the growth? Where are they coming from? You understand? When manufacturing reached 8%, I think manufacturing reached 8%.
Yes.
And I asked myself, manufacturing. And then MP Municipal Policy Committee met yesterday. Apparently, their decision will one way or the other impact, manufacturing. So all of these figures, except for the, the growth of the GDP, you understand, which is not manufacturing or production, as they call it, driven. It is driven by services. We should note that that growth in GDP is driven by services, ICT, and all of that. You understand? Entertainment and all of that. It is driven by services, not manufacturing, not production, as in real-time production. So this is what we should look out for, because that is where big-time employment comes from. Okay. And the coming on stream of the Dangote industry, if you take a look at it, if you break it down, will have played a significant role in that, employing thousands of casual workers and thousands of full-time workers too. You understand? Because as they started operations of loading and all of that now, people will also be employed in that regard. So let's say that it's a good outlook as we roll into the end of the year, but let the statistics match the reality.
Okay. All right, then let's move to another particular issue now. It's still from the dailies on Solutions 93.9 FM. Now, on the front page of that same Vanguard, we have this one saying, mixed reactions trail move to privatize Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna refineries. I mean, some people were against them. One of the, what do I call it now? Is it the manifestos of Atiku Abubakar then, that he was going to privatize most of these public facilities. Now, mixed reactions are trailing the move to privatize Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna refineries. Now, should the government just fold its hands and watch these refineries rot away, or rather privatize them and let individuals take charge of these things, since the government doesn't seem to be able to sustain those facilities?
Well, before they privatize, we should ask questions. A $1.5 billion was released by the Buhari administration for turnaround maintenance. And I know that Port Harcourt, I have followed in detail. And when we're talking about Port Harcourt refineries, there are two refineries. The one that was done by Shell, SPDC, the first petroleum refinery in Nigeria, taken over by government, and then they built the new one. So there are two inside that Port Harcourt complex itself. Now, I know that I'm aware that this turnaround maintenance they did there is we could call it a complete rebuilding of the refinery, the old one. Now, how much are you going to sell it? I recall that the gentleman that retired from NNPC that I interviewed in our studios there, I said, why did you people oppose the sale of Port Harcourt refinery then? He said they did not oppose it. They were against it not because they were going to lose their jobs or because they were going to be paid, but they knew that those who bought them, they were not going to buy them because they wanted to run the refineries. They were buying them because they were targeting asset stripping. They were targeting the jetty in Port Harcourt and Warri. You understand? That is what they were targeting, not the refinery itself for production. And we have seen the asset stripping take place when on Nigeria Airways. You understand?
Yes.
Nigeria Airways is an example. Nitel is another example. Nitel had infrastructure nationwide. it was handed a free license. When others came in and bought license for $285 million and started building infrastructure, where is NITEL today? And where is other service providers that came to build from scratch? Asset stripping. Asset stripping. Now, how much have you sunk into it? How much do you want to sell it? You know now, all the privatization that took place, assets, Nigeria Airways, asset stripping. Asset stripping of Nigeria Airways. For God's sake, how much was it bought? How much of it? What do we have now? You don't understand? It is just a terrible, terrible thing. The aluminum smelting company, how much? We built it for $3 billion. We sold it for $150 million. So these things, they will just, you see, let them go ahead. Okay, what does privatization actually mean? We should ask them. What does privatization mean? Are they going to run it in partnership, or do they want to sell it off?
Okay, that means the contract or maybe the terms and agreement must be well spelled out before that.
Nigeria, you hear commercialization, you hear privatization, and you are never sure of the exact meaning of those words. Those words are just moving back and forth. Commercialization, privatization. You hear the words, you don't know what it means. So that will be another tragedy. After spending so much money on those refineries, and then they will sell it off as scrap. They will sell it off as scrap, and those guys will strip assets or even make it work. Why won't it work? And then when you sell off the refineries, my brother, what about the 5,000 kilometer pipelines that we have? What are we going to be doing with them? We sell them off too? You see, people should be thinking. And that is NNPC, Abi. NNPC.
All right, comrade, let's move to another particular story. There is this particular story I'm looking for in one of the papers. Okay, now, to me, it seems more like a blame game. We all discussed about this issue when the federal government wanted to borrow recently, and the letter was passed to the Senate, was sent to the Senate, and it was read, and we heard that loan request was given swift approval by the National Assembly. But this morning on the papers, there are two papers actually. The Nigerian Tribune says senators query FG's borrowing. Tinubu's ministers justify plans. That is on the Nigerian Tribune. And on the Vanguard newspaper, FG to National Assembly, we approved based on your approvals. But I went through the story and I noticed that there was an interactive session. Comrade, are you there?
I am very much.
Okay, now, let me just read this paragraphs now. This was disclosed during an interactive session federal government's revenue-generating agencies had with the Senator Sani Musa-led National Assembly's Joint Committees on Finance, Budget, and National Planning. And there were, during that the interactive session, senators queried the fact that the Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, and the National NNPCL and Federal Inland Revenue Services all exceeded their revenue target. And they said that they were able to generate so much money. And at the end of their presentation, according to the paper, members of the committees took them up on why the federal government was still seeking for foreign loans despite the high increase of internally generated revenues. According to that paper.
Yeah.
So according to that paper now, the senators are now asking them why did they have to, because they're now saying that so much money have been accrued by different agencies, revenue agencies, but what is now the reason for getting more loans? Is it not bringing question to the credibility of this news that we hear that, okay, the Nigerian Customs Service has been able to generate this, and JAMB has been able to generate this, we've been able to save so much money from subsidy removal and everything. This happened yesterday.
Yes. You see, the challenge is that what is the revenue generated? They are just to collect. That is one of the reasons why the bills that are in the National Assembly now, you understand, by the Taiwo Idili Committee.
You know, according to the figure here, the combined revenue stood at 36.952 trillion naira. So if we have that much being saved, being generated, why do we need more loans?
Exactly. That is the question. That is the question. Because that's why I always say we need transparency and accountability. All these stories about, good governance. We don't need good governance. We need transparency and accountability. And I guess by the time those bills about, putting together all the revenue sources, and you understand, putting them together, real time, it will be visible. Everything comes into, rather than federal inland revenue, you have revenue something. It is no longer federal inland revenue. It is all revenue that are coming into, the federation account. Everything will be visible real time. So it is innovative and, it is technology driven. All the money that customs is collecting, is it the revenue? Is it fully technology driven?
What are these monies meant for? This money is being generated by this customs.
They go into the federation account. They are supposed to go into the federation account.
Okay.
So why are we still borrowing?
That is the question.
There is no transparency.
We want to borrow 35.5 trillion naira. And you're saying that your institutions have been able to generate 36.952 trillion naira.
But don't forget that when they generate,
yes,
they are to deliver a certain percentage. Don't forget that. To the federation account. They are not delivering all. That is one thing. They don't deliver all that they generate because they cover their costs. Like the ones they call Federal Inland Revenue Services. Maximum. In fact, they were asked to deliver 100. And they fought back and said, how can we deliver 100 and start coming to beg for money from you? So I think generally they deliver 50% of what they generate because they pay staff and they do overhead too and running costs. Okay. You spend money to generate money. The services that they provide, it is money driven. You understand? Like the Post Authority, for instance, now. You understand? The services they provide, capital intensive. So they don't have to go back and start begging for money that they already generated. So 50% at least of it, they retain. They retain, and then it is not all of that goes. It is not all of that 6 trillion that goes into the federation account, as it were.
All right, comrade. As we wrap up, there's this particular story. This one has to do with insecurity. Sit at home. Schools closed over gunmen attacks in Anambra. Is this not taking too long? I mean, what are our security agencies doing? And I read in another paper that Lokarawa is moving from the northwestern part of the country to the north central now, expanding like wildfire.
I guess the Lokarawa might come into resistance in the middle belt of Nigeria because there will be no resonance. And by the type of people that they are in that area, there will be a lot of conflicts that will be generated. And of course, for the Southeast, the sit-at-home Monday order is from Simon Ekpa. You understand? And
who has been arrested?
Yes, but that tells you whose voice they respect. Simon Ekpa speaks from 6,000 kilometers away. Stay at home. And the governor of the state say, go to work. And the people obey Ekpa 6,000 miles away.
But even now that Ekpa is in custody, the sit-at-home order still stays.
Because he has foot soldiers. even if just 100 or 200 of them.
And what are the governors doing? Are they not the chief security officers?
What can the governors do, my dear brother? Which security agency is under the control of the governor?
So what are military men doing? What are police officers doing?
Let me tell you also that they depend solely on intelligence, credible intelligence, actionable intelligence.
Comrade,
where do you get it from?
Do you know that we have a little group of people holding an entire geographical, geopolitical region hostage?
Yes. What does the security agencies that you talk about, what do they depend on to operate effectively? Intelligence, credible intelligence, actionable intelligence. Where do they get it from? They get it from the people. If the people do not think that the security agencies are going to secure them, they're not going to get cooperation from them. We have had instances of giving information to security agencies, and within a few hours or days, the cover of those who give credible intelligence is blown. Anybody here, I recall a permanent secretary who gave credible intelligence to security agencies about the activities of some people in one of our high-pro residential areas. Within 48 hours, the woman was dead. And she was dead because her cover was blown by the same security agency. So,
I get your point.
Police is your friend. Yes.
I get your point.
But do the people believe it? Do the people believe it?
I get your point. Comrade, our time is fast spent this morning. We'll have more time to talk about some other issues and on the program tomorrow morning.
By God's grace.
All right. Thank you very much for being a part of
the
the
program. Have a wonderful day.
Wishing you the same, sir. All right, that's the wrap for today. It's been from the Daily Zone Solutions 93.9 FM. We've been able to take about 2-3 issues on the papers this morning. Hopefully, we'll have more time to discuss so many other issues in the papers tomorrow morning. My name is Adidamala LAFFY. Stay tuned to Solutions 93.9 FM, because in a jiffy, it will be time to listen to Iweda with the Great Babs. Bye for now.